Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith at TV. It's time for News Central now, and here are the top stories at this hour. Suspended Rivers Governor Siminalayi Fubara urges supporters to accept peace deal. Sarap demands transparency on spending of security voters. Apologies for that. We'll bring you the details of the news and plenty more after the break. Our sincerest apologies for that sound glitch. Let's get started, shall we? And this time we get started with security. Or better yet, we'll start with politics. We begin in River State, where the suspended governor, Siminalayi Fubara, is calling on his supporters to accept the peace deal brokered between himself and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. Speaking in Port Harcourt after a public outing alongside the minister, Governor Fubara acknowledged the deep disappointment and anxiety felt by many of his loyalists, but emphasized that, in his words, quote, difficult times call for difficult decisions and concessions, end quote. Fubara openly recognized Wike's critical role in his political rise, stating that the minister's influence in his emergence as governor cannot be wished away. He went on to reveal that President Bola Tinubu personally intervened in the dispute, issuing a direct mandate for reconciliation between both men, described by many as political godfather and protege for the sake of peace and stability in River State.
We have fought. I think in my own assessment and in the assessment of anyone that is here, will genuinely, if you're genuine in this struggle, you will know that we have done what we need to do. At this point, if you want to be truthful to yourself, not lying to yourself, the only solution is peace. I didn't say that there is no price that is too big to pay for peace. I meant it, and I am still ready to follow it to the end. Nobody can take away the role my other played. That's the truth. Yeah, we have our differences that led to this, but nobody here will say he doesn't know the role the man played. Nobody will say he doesn't. Nobody can whiz away the risks he took. Yes, at the point we had our differences. And if today there is need for us to settle, please, anyone who genuinely believe in me should understand that it is the right thing to do. Look at the projects that we initiated. Big road have been abandoned. Look at other things that we initiated. Without this crisis, by now I know where we have been. We know the progress we have recorded. We know areas that would have developed these things better than what it is today. So there is need for this peace. That is the truth. Like I said, it's heavy, it's bitter, but we must accept the situation and move on with it.
Governors elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress have reaffirmed their commitment to President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. Now, this comes as the Progressive Governors Forum wrapped up a two-day strategic meeting in Benin City, the Edo State capital, hosted by Governor Monday Okpebholo. News Central's lead correspondent Bernard Akede reports.
Benin City played host to 15 APC governors over the weekend as members of the Progressive Governors Forum gathered for a crucial two-day regional meeting. The meeting, presided over by the PGF's chairman and governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, focused on reviewing the party's progress, national challenges, and strengthening coordination between federal and state institutions. After a closed-door session, the governors issued a communique expressing satisfaction with gains recorded under the Renewed Hope agenda, citing improvements in physical reforms, food security, energy transformation, infrastructure development, and revitalization of key social sectors.
The strategic engagement provided an opportunity for deep reflection on the nation's socio-economic direction, a reassessment of the subnational role in national transformation, and an affirmation of the forum's commitment to the Renewed Hope agenda of His Excellency President Bola Tinubu, GCFR.
They emphasized the need to deepen economic recovery through targeted investments in agriculture, job creation, MSME support, and social safety programs. The forum also commended security agencies for their continued effort in protecting lives and property while extending condolences to victims of recent violence in Benue and Niger States. In a show of party unity, the governors welcomed the recent wave of high-profile defections into the APC, describing it as a vote of confidence in the party's leadership and direction.
The forum formally welcomed His Excellency Pastor Omo Eno, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, to the forum. In his decision, along with the teeming supporters from his state, reflect the growing national consensus on the transformative policies being executed under President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda.
On the recent resignation of the party's national chairman, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, the governors described it as a sign of the APC's institutional maturity and capacity for internal reform. A moment of solemnity was observed with the announcement of the passing of elder statesman Alhaji Aminu Dantata from Kano State.
The PGF acknowledged the resignation of the national chairman of our great party, His Excellency Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, in tandem with the party's continued evolution. The PGF reaffirmed its unshakable belief in a united, just, and prosperous Nigeria. It's committed to working collaboratively to deliver bold reforms, strengthen institutional trust, and accelerate socio-economic development across all geopolitical zones.
The APC governors later paid a courtesy visit to the Oba of Benin in a symbolic nod to traditional institutions and their role in national unity. The two-day gathering culminated in a grand reception hosted by Governor Okpebholo, attended by top party leaders and dignitaries from across the country.
We have a capacity working president. He has embarked on critical reforms for this country, Nigeria.
The Progressive Governors Forum says it remains resolute in supporting President Bola Tinubu as the nation works towards a more secure, inclusive, and prosperous future. In Benin City for News Central, Bernard Akede.
Meanwhile, the Governors Forum, PGF, of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has unanimously welcomed the resignation of the national chairman of the party, Abdullahi Ganduje. The governors adopted the resolution during their two-day strategic regional meeting in Benin City on Saturday, hosted by the governor of Edo State, Senator Monday Okpebholo. The statement issued by the chief press secretary to the governor, Monday Okpebholo of Edo State, Fred Itua, on Saturday said the PGF reaffirmed its strong belief in a united, just, and prosperous Nigeria, committing to work collaboratively to deliver bold reforms, strengthening institutional trust, and accelerate socio-economic development across all geopolitical zones.
The PGF acknowledged the resignation of the national chairman of our great party, His Excellency Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, in tandem with the party's continued evolution. The PGF reaffirmed its unshakable belief in a united, just, and prosperous Nigeria. It's committed to working collaboratively to deliver bold reforms, strengthen institutional trust, and accelerate socio-economic development across all geopolitical zones. The governors resolved to remain faithful stewards of the APC's values, leveraging state-level innovation, intergovernmental collaboration to drive Nigeria's transformation from bottom up. The forum encouraged all Nigerians, home and abroad, to rally behind President Bola Tinubu, GCFR, and the APC as the nation moves towards a more secure, inclusive, and forward-looking future.
In the meantime, the chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP Reconciliation Committee, and former Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki has warned that more defections from the party may still occur, even as efforts continue to reposition the party ahead of the 2027 general elections. Saraki made this known during a televised interview in Abuja. He, however, described the timing of the crisis as an advantage, arguing that it gives the PDP time to recover and rebuild before the election cycle begins in full swing. Now, despite the turbulence of the national level, Saraki said the PDP remains strong at the grassroots and across state structures. The Forum of State Chairmen of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, has thrown their weight behind the suspension of the national chairman of the party, Shehu Gambam, and 2 other national officers. The forum, while speaking to newsmen in Abuja, urged members of the party not to worry about the decision, saying that Gambam has questions to answer, especially relating to approved funds expected to be released to the state chapters of the party.
The members must remain calm at this period and not to be swayed by media manipulations regarding the suspended chairman and other 2. The entire process has followed the party constitution being provided. It is important to know that all action taken have been initiated by the state chapter. Our situation can be summarized by the phrase, monkey they walk, baboon they chop. This forum has repeatedly requested that the national chairman remit the state allocated percentage as outlined in the constitution, but he has consistently ignored this request. No state chapter, as we speak, has received any fund from the money raised, and whenever we inquire about our dues, we encounter threats of removal or suspension.
Still in politically related news, former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi is taking aim at President Bola Tinubu over his state visit to the Caribbean nation of Saint Lucia. Obi described the timing of the trip as both ill-timed and insensitive, citing the growing hardship, insecurity, and natural disasters affecting millions of Nigerians. The criticism comes after the president's special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, confirmed that Tinubu would depart on Saturday as part of efforts to strengthen ties with Caribbean nations and promote South-South cooperation. But Obi, in a strongly worded statement, questioned why the president would choose this moment for a foreign visit. He pointed to widespread hunger, deadly floods, and ongoing security challenges as reasons the president should stay and lead from the front. Peter Obi, specifically referenced the devastation in Minna, Niger State, where recent floods reportedly claimed over 200 lives and left many still missing. He also dismissed President Tinubu's recent trip to Benue State as nothing more than a political jamboree rather than a genuine condolence visit. The criticism underscores mounting public pressure as the presidency on the presidency to address urgent domestic crisis. You're watching news now on News Central Television. We go on our first break, but when we return, Sarap gives governors 7-day ultimatum to disclose security vote usage. We'll tell you all about this, give you the details, and plenty more after the break. Join us again. And welcome back. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project is demanding answers from Nigeria's 36 state governors over the use of security vote allocations received since May 29, 2023. And a Freedom of Information request dated June 28th and signed by SARAP's Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadare. The organization is urging the governors to publicly disclose how the funds have been spent. They are also calling for anti-corruption agencies, specifically the EFCC and ICPC, to be granted access to monitor and investigate the spending. SERAP expressed concern over what it described as a persistent failure by many state leaders to channel these funds toward genuinely improving security. The group warns that the lack of transparency surrounding security flows has opened the door to corruption and weakened public oversight. The organization is giving governors a 7-day deadline to comply if they fail to respond. SERAP says it will head to court to compel disclosure. Still on security, Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa has inaugurated Student Against Violent Extremism during the multi-sector conference in Maiduguri, designed to engage young scholars in the fight against extremist ideologies circulating in the Northeast. Speaking to multiple stakeholders, from students to the military, civil society organizations and community leaders, General Musa emphasized that youth-led initiatives are essential in reshaping community narratives as well as ensuring peace. News Central's Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
The echoes of the conflict in Nigeria's northeast is gradually fading away, with communities being resettled to pick up the pieces of their lives. A newly formed group, Student Against Violent Extremism, an initiative that seeks to persuade individuals against terrorism and radicalization, here being inaugurated by Nigeria's Chief of Defense.
The non-kinetic effort does a lot, and youths play a major role in that non-kinetic effort. And that's why we have this event today, to be able to bring out the youth. And you can see the groups that have been formed. They will go around because they are also meeting together with their fellow youths and be able to talk to them on the issue of all of them not agreeing anybody to radicalize them, for them to support the security forces, for them to do things right so that Nigeria can be better.
The only thing I want the Nigerian society to know is that terrorism is like cancer. It regenerates. So we must get to the roots and cut it off before it will end.
This initiative and also brought the civil societies and also the youth, Borno youth parliaments on board, so that we can work hand in hand together to see that at least we have play critical roles also, to not to allow just the federal and the state governments to just do it alone.
Focused on building resilience against violent extremism through youth engagement, stakeholders called on Nigerian youth to embrace peace building through education.
As for us from the Youth Assembly of Nigeria, we are engaging the community leaders and traditional leaders in the community to see that we sensitize the young people in peace bringing in our communities.
The youths are leaders of the tomorrow. They are the ones to shape the community in the near future. So imbibing this kind of character in them now, it will going to actually help in having a robust and one community in the society.
I must say that this is a very good initiative, and from our side, we will take this up, we'll take it very serious, and we will wish that the Chief of Defense Staff, alongside with some of the security advisors from Northeast region, will intensify and domesticate this across all the region.
The persuasive means of encouraging the surrender of terrorists has led to over 300,000 voluntarily surrendering. What remains now is for the government to ensure extremism of any form is minimized to its lowest ebb. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
And Umaru Kirawa joins me live now to speak more on this. First of all, good afternoon to you and happy Sunday. Looking bright for a Sunday. Let's get started. Really, this fight against extremism, how dire is the situation? Let's start there.
The situation is a very well-known situation. It's crystal clear from what the Chief of Defense Staff is saying, that they need to devise several mechanisms in order to tackle the issues of banditry, insurgency, and of course, terrorism in Nigeria, and particularly in the Northeast region that has taken over a decade years, experiencing killings, maiming, and so on and so forth, which led to the enlistment of even the terrorist group as the third most deadliest terrorist organization across the globe by the Global Terrorism Index. And as such, while there is a relative peace in most communities and some of them are being resettled to pick up the pieces of their lives, to farm, to do trans-border business and so on and so forth. There are certain issues that really need to be addressed, which the Chief of Defense Staff now is deploying what is known as the Student Against Violence Extremism Initiative that tends to deploy ideological state apparatus to change the narrative, the mindset, the thinking of people. It's a sort of a proactive step to ensure that students who are in higher institutions of learning and of course secondary schools are not enticed into the terrorist activities, and of course they should preach the gospel of peace, development and growth. That is basically what the initiative is all about.
And for the part of the youth participants, what are some key concerns and issues that they shared with you regarding violent extremism in their communities, and how do they intend to address this?
Well, you know, the issue of terrorism, particularly in the Northeast, it has so many connotations. They are both social, political, religious, and sometimes economic dimensions to the crisis. Poverty is another serious concern. However, with what the Chief of Defense Staff has done, encouraging the youth to ensure they preach the gospel of peace, the youth have embraced the call, but both naturally, you know, there are so many dimensions to the crisis, and as such, all those angles and dimensions really need to be addressed. And in fact, the Chief of Defense Staff has already identified those gaps in his book that he unveiled, a 179-page book. He titled it "Take a Stance Against Insurgency, Banditry, and Terrorism in Nigeria, Admonishing the Nigerian Youth." He has already identified that poverty is critical leeway to further compounding the insurgency. And of course, issues of social and political dimensions too really need to be addressed to ensure that people in the lecture really embrace peace and then leave all sorts of crime, violent and terrorism acts in the region for peace and stability to entrench in the region.
Well, I must say thank you, but very quickly, because we're out of time. In your fair view, with this organization or this student group that the CSO have launched, do you think that it would in any way impact the North long term?
Well, it is, because the youth are the backbone of the society, and ensuring the sustainability of this initiative is critical. It should not just be a media or something that has been launched and then all of a sudden it should fade away. There is the need for sustainability strategies, sustainability mechanism, so that even those that are yet unborn can pick up the gospel of peace and continue to preach it to others, so that everybody will live peacefully and then stability, growth, development will be witnessed.
Well, Omar, I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us. Omar Karawa, giving us a bit of insight following the launching of a group by the Chief of Army Staff, Christopher Musa, that can end, or rather help students against violent extremism, especially in the Northeast. Once again, Omar, thanks. We switch gears now back to River State following the reconciliation between the ex-governor of the state and now FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, and of course the current governor, suspended governor, that is, and that's Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Joining us to give us a bit of insight is the chairman of National Youth Council of Nigeria, River State Chapter, Sabari, I beg your pardon, Bani, and he joins me to speak on the implications of the peace deal between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, particularly as it relates to governance and youth engagement in the state. I was going to ask, how do you perceive the recent peace deal between Governor Fubara and the Minister Wike? Do you see it as a step toward or say step forward, better yet, or a compromise of political integrity on the part of Fubara?
Well, for me, whatever you might call it as a person, the most important thing is that we have realized that these two political giants have found out a common ground to reach a truce. And they have all established a common fact. The common fact we established at this point is the position for the people of Rivers State. If they are fighting for their personal interest, the people suffers. So if they decide to reconcile to the benefits of the people, I think it's something we must be grateful for. And we can also really conclude by saying that this peace will be holistic without acknowledging the input of Mr. President. He has always been concerned about the state and well-being of Rivers people. This is like the fourth time he's intervening on the Rivers crisis. And from looking at the situation on ground, a few days ago we saw Mr. President in company of the FCT minister and the suspended governor, and they made a speech after then. We have also watched keenly their activities, and we have seen that healing has beginning to take place. We have seen them in different forums, unlike before. Unlike the former peace accord that was being reached in Asorok, where we did not see any proper reconciliation. We are seeing true and proper reconciliation in this process right now, and it's very important, instead of us to preach war or to preach sentiment, as young people, which are most beneficiary of this process, should seize this moment to, take a pat at the back and encourage the peace process that has started. This is not a time to begin to throw tantrums at anybody. This is not a time to begin to see any person as your enemy. Any person that is seeing others as enemies, an enemy to Rivers State. And we have decided to be patriotic and give peace a chance. The peace we are talking about here, who are the greatest beneficiaries? The youth. And we are to encourage it at all levels. We have called on all stakeholders, ranging from women, clergymen, traditional rulers, opinion leaders, civil society organizations, at all levels to give peace a chance. And we have also seen the realistic approach from Mr. Governor Saint Lucia. He addressed his supporters yesterday, and to be very frank, we have not seen him in that disposition ever since this crisis started. And it looks well on us as Rivers people that he has beginning to heal to total reconciliation and heal to peace. I also see the action of Mr. Minister, the FCT Minister, his disposition in this process actually connotes strength. Strength in the sense that he has also discovered that peace is the only way. Despite that he was winning, he has also seen that coming together as a family will do Rivers State lots more good than just winning and taking home everything. So I want to sincerely thank Mr. President for his peace accord. And also let's not also leave the sole administrator of Rivers State out of this peace accord. Because if the sole administrator of Rivers State did not play his own role as sent by Mr. President when he was declared the administrator of Rivers State, he might have sponsored more crisis in the state, but he did not do that like politicians. He remained a technocrat as a peace ambassador of his country and has also sponsored peace through reconciliatory moves within the state. His action so far has also encouraged the peace process. I also want to thank the youth.
Mr. Bani.
Dispensation.
Unfortunately, I wish I could give you a microphone, but this is a television program, so we're going to keep it to be very constructive as we can, right? And let me ask about a very core point of the problem here that had caused the conflict that we saw in the state and the dissolving of the House of Assembly plus the governor's suspension, and that is the dual factions that we saw in the House, the Amawali-led faction and the Martins Okojombo's led faction. What do you think would be the resolution constitutionally, as we're talking about reconciliation? What would be the resolution for the State House?
I think everybody is going to adhere to rule of law. Within the grand norm, the Constitution is the only arbiter where everybody can find solace, live in unity and in progress. We are falling back to constitutionalism properly, where the House of Assembly will come back. Like Mr. Governor have said, all those loyal to me, including the Assembly members, should maintain the rightful disposition of peace. That is to say, what we expect going forward is that the House of Assembly is going to come back in full session. Those people who are still, legitimate members of the House of Assembly, for me, everybody should be given an opportunity. Even any person who felt that I've resigned one way or the other that was not constitutional should also come back to the House. And everybody should join hands together to chart a way forward in the country, to chart a way forward in Rivers State so that we can move progressively. We are backward, and I believe if we adhere to rule of law, if we adhere to the constitutional provisions that binds governance, all of these issues will be laid to rest. The issue of faction and whatever in the House of Assembly, by the resolution in the presidency, the House of Rock, all of these things have been addressed. The leadership of the House of Assembly was in the meeting. The governor was in the meeting, and the critical stakeholders of the state were also in the meeting. So
a meeting doesn't mean constitution.
Holistically.
Mr. Bani, holistically is a good word to describe it, right? Because, a meeting does not necessarily mean a constitution, right? Because you can have a meeting, but there are still constitutional demands that are laws that abide the House of Assembly, but most importantly, the laws of the land, as well as the federal laws as well. So as much as they're sitting in these meetings and having those conversations, does their law align with it? Does the Constitution align with it? That's where the bone of contention is, and that's where the question lies. But very quickly, as we're running out of time, I also want to talk about what the governor said. Now, he said that, there are some concessions that had to be made, for the sake of peace to reign. Paraphrasing him here, can you preempt what those concessions might be? And do you think that it would be for his political career in the long run, if it would be good for his political career in the long run? Because at the end of the day, as much as you are a servant of the people, there is still ambition.
Okay, to be very realistic, I think I am not a spokesman for the governor, but I must tell you, the steps he has taken so far is in line with the peace accord process and reached. The peace accord reached at the instance of Rivers people. The most important thing here is to, think about the people. He was elected to serve Nigerians in Rivers State, to govern Rivers State. And if he has seen that, giving peace a chance, no matter the condition in the peace accord. Like he said, oftentimes he has said it, that no price is too much for peace. No price is too much to be paid for the peace of Rivers people. And I want to sincerely appreciate the choice of that word. And not only that, like we have seen in the couple of hours after the meeting, which is still in consonance with the Constitution, and there is nothing wrong with it, he has shown that everything is well. Going forward, we are politicians. The best, as politicians rather, for them that are politicians, the best thing they can do is to realign their interests. And I feel Saint Fubara will not just throw his tongue into the peace accord if there is nothing for him. He is a politician and he knows how best to go about it. So, meanwhile, we are not even there. When Saint Fubara secured the interest from his leader, Chief Vice Wike, to become the governor of Rivers State, he knows how best to approach his team, the big family, to achieve whatever he needs to achieve politically. So I feel there is a room large enough to accommodate all interests of all Rivers people. Like he has also said, you see, it's all about sacrifice. It's very heavy, but it's worth it. There is no need becoming a governor without peace in your state, in your political family, and the rest abounds. So I strongly believe, there is something in for the governor of Rivers State, Governor Saint Fubara.
All right.
If there is none, I don't think he would have accepted it.
All right. Well,
the president would not just take everything from him and say, "Oh, this is peace."
Well, okay. Well, let's only time will tell whether or not there's going to be. Only time will tell whether or not there's going to be anything there for him. But Mr. Bani, I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us. Mr. Bani, they're giving us a bit of insight following the reconciliation between the former governor of Rivers State and the MCT minister, Nyesom Wike, and the governor of Rivers, which is facilitated by President Tinubu, Bola Tinubu. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, death toll from car stampede during exams revised to 20. We'll tell you all about this after the break. Stay with us. Yeah, welcome back. And off to Niger, where the military-led government has officially launched the first session of the Consultative Council of National Refoundation, CCR, on Saturday. The newly formed council is tasked with providing advisory opinions to the junta following the country's July 2023 coup. The CCR replaces the National Assembly, which was dissolved after the coup, marking a significant shift in the country's political landscape.
La refondation d'un pays est un exercice difficile, parfois périlleux, mais toujours couronné de succès pour les peuples résilients. C'est à cet exercice que le peuple...
Je ne vous apprendrai rien, mais dans un contexte où le Niger est confronté à des défis sécuritaires multiples, notamment la lutte contre le terrorisme et la lutte contre la criminalité transnationale organisée, épreuve injustement imposée à notre peuple par qui on sait et pour les raisons que l'on sait, je vous demande d'inscrire résolument vos actions en droite ligne des seuls intérêts supérieurs de notre pays. Au demeurant,
the death toll from the tragic stampede during high school exams in the Central African country, or African, I'll take that again, that's the Central African Republic, I beg your pardon, has been revised. Authorities confirmed on Saturday that 20 people lost their lives, down from the earlier count of 29. The incident occurred on Wednesday afternoon at the Bathlema Buganda High School in Bangui when a power transformer exploded, triggering panic among the students. At the time, approximately 5,300 pupils were sitting for the second day of their baccalaureate exams. Now, Communications Minister Maxine Balala Lu confirmed that the 20 young lives have been lost, with the victims now in various morgues. He also reported that 65 students remain in hospital, with 4 in critical condition. Maxine further revealed that the head of one of the exam centers at the high school had passed away, reportedly due to illness linked to the traumatic event. And off to South Africa, where the Democratic Alliance Party has withdrawn from a national dialogue after President Cyril Ramaphosa fired one of its deputy ministers. The announcement was a fresh blow to the Government of National Unity, GNU, days before it marks its first anniversary. The national dialogue is a process launched by Ramaphosa to unite the country after last year's election, which saw its African National Congress lose its parliamentary majority for the first time in 3 decades, forcing it to team up with the DA to form a government. The initiative has been criticized by the DA and others, with DA leader John Steinhorst saying, describing it was nothing more than a waste of time and money.
At 1 p.m. today, has resolved to withdraw from the national dialogue with immediate effect. In the absence of a president who's prepared to take action against VBS looters and state capture accused sitting around the cabinet table, it is clear that the dialogue will be reduced to nothing more than a waste of time and money to distract from ANC failures.
Well, I like to live by the 3 strikes and you are out maxim. So this is the second big strike. And believe me, we discussed at length a motion of no confidence in the president. And there was a significant debate about it. And that is not off the table. If the president shows that he's indistinguishable from the corrupt RET faction in his party, then, well, there's no point in being in a coalition with him at all, because he is exactly the same as the others. So we're saying to him, don't test us, because we're prepared.
You're watching News Now on News Central Television. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, we'll move out from outside of the continent and give you sports and, of course, business news. Stay with us. And now to business, as foreign direct investment into Nigeria fell by 19% to $250 million in Q1 of 2025. Now, this is according to the central bank's balance of payments report. The drop reflects weakened investor confidence amid exchange rate volatility and unclear policy direction. Portfolio investments swung from a $5.6 billion inflow to about $5 billion outflow, driving a $2.77 billion overall deficit. Despite a $3.73 billion current account surplus buoyed by stronger exports and a widened trade balance, Nigeria's external reserves, dropped to $37.82 billion. Meanwhile, diaspora remittances and foreign aid fell sharply, highlighting mounting external pressure and economic fragility. And now on to sports, as Kwara United have secured their maiden President Federation Cup title after defeating Abakaliki FC 4-3 on penalties following a goalless draw at the Mobalaji Johnson Arena in Lagos on Saturday. The historic win ends a 49-year wait since Ayuf Salam Rocks, a Kwara-based side, lost the final in 1976. The tightly contested match saw few chances before being decided in a tense shootout, with goalkeeper Saraju Eyilesu making key saves. The victory earns Kwara United a spot in the 2025-26 CAF Confederation Cup. Led by coach Tunde Sani, the Ilorin-based side's triumph caps a surprise run through the tournament, marking a major milestone for football in Kwara State.
I have to thank God that we did not underrate them, but we don't know that they are as good. We don't know that they are as good as like this, because we were surprised for this kind of a team to go on relegation. I didn't mean we said they have been relegated, then to come like that. It would have been another story. But as we look at our team, we are not too bad as well. So you understand? But I promise you, we need this cup than them. More than 40-something years that we have been struggling to have this cup. You can see everybody from Kwara, they were here, sport loving. When you get to our state now, you will see that so many jubilations everywhere. So you understand? So we need it than them. And we thank God that God gave it to us.
It was a well-fought game. We lost. You saw it too. I didn't think it would end this way, but it did. I think we tried to hold them back in the regular time of the game, and thought we were going to, as usual, knock them off during the penalty series, but it didn't work that way. We lost. They won. That's just it.
Rivers Angels came from 2 goals down to defeat Nasarawa Amazons 4-2 on penalties after a 2-2 draw in regulation time, winning the 2025 President Federation Cup on Saturday in Lagos. The victory at Mobalaji Johnson Arena marked the Port Harcourt's club record 10th title in the competition's history. Nasarawa Amazons led 2-0 at halftime, with Olushola Shobowale scoring twice early. But Rivers Angels responded with goals from Taiwo Jibade and Taiwo Afolabi in the second half. With no extra time played, the game proceeded directly to penalties. Rivers Angels converted 4 spot kicks to Nasarawa's 2, sealing a dramatic comeback and reinforcing their status in Nigeria's women's football club. Well, congratulations to the ladies, and that's all we can take at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Suspended Rivers Governor Siminalayi Fubara urges supporters to accept peace deal. Serap demands transparency on spending of security votes by state governors. And we also told you that Niger's military government has launched open session of consultative council for national refoundation. Now, do remember, they can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. To follow us on social media, we're at News Central TV on all social media platforms. You can always watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and also live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Bye for now.